things. First off, I want to thank our sponsors. First off, is going to be Derek Cooper with Lucid Insurance. He's amazing. He's been nothing but great to me. I moved back to Columbus 3 years ago. He's been amazing to me, and so I appreciate that. The other thing is Brian Zeno from Axis Title. He's been buying you guys some drinks tonight. So give it up for Ryan Zeno and Access Title. So I appreciate that. And last but not least, obviously, Misty Lynch, who gave us this space, District West, she gave us this. So thank you to Misty again. Like I was telling Jesse and a couple other people, when I moved back to Columbus 3 years ago, nobody really knew who I was as a lender, and she was one of the first to be very gracious to me. So I appreciate that. And then also sponsored by us, of course, Equity Capital Mortgage. So my myself, Rick, Maya. We have a great team there. But I also want to introduce you to my sister, my best friend. Honestly, I get choked up. I would not be in the industry still if it wasn't for the conversations being had and nice. So I want to introduce you guys to Maya Rucker. She is the brainchild of the that. Who wants to take this off? All right.
Hello, ladies. How's everybody feeling today? Who's ready to get started with investing? That's it? What if you can make 50K? Who's ready to get started investing? Okay, ladies, I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of my life. I don't want to bore you with it, but I want to let you know how Women Who Invest in RE started and why I started it. So again, this is my sister. I love her to death, and I'm super, super proud of her. Like she said, we got in the mortgage business around the same time. My background is actually nursing. I'm a registered nurse. Well, my brother that owns the company, he's been doing pretty good, like making some good money. And I'm like, I don't know if this nursing is really in for me because I thought the paychecks were going to be about double or triple than what I'm getting here, and there's a lot of politics involved. And I'm like, I'm not for that. So I said, Rick, what are you doing? Like, can I do that? He said, yeah, come on, go take your license. We all tested around the same time, passed our test, and I was like, okay, cool. Now what? My background is nursing. I've been in healthcare from the time I was 18. I'm not like a, business savvy young lady. I didn't know what the hell to do. I didn't have contacts. So what I had to do was get out and network. Who in here loves networking? I need everybody to put their hand up. I hated networking. When I tell you I had anxiety so bad that even like to this day I get anxiety, but I had anxiety so bad when I would talk to someone, my heart would literally be beating out of my chest. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? And then I would tongue twist my words because I'm goofy. I would forget people's names, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make any money? What the hell did I just do? Thinking I thought I was gonna be rich fast. My brother lied to me. He's like, you're gonna be rich. I'm like, all right, let's get this money. But without what I did was I had to build a network. Networking, again, I hated it. But I figured out how to be myself, how to step out of the box and just go to events like this. This right here is key. You're in a room with women who are well versed, have tons of portfolios, and then you have newer women. We have a contractor in here. This is where you're going to start to build your team. Okay, so long story short, we were in a women's group, okay? And there was a lot of bullying going on. And I never was for bullying. I never was. And these are grown ass women just hating on each other. And I'm always like, let's lift you up, sis, pull your skirt down, it's tucked in your. I'm that type of girl. So the market shifted and I started going to more investor networking events. And I'm like, every time I go, I'm the type of person that I'm gonna have 100 million questions. I'm gonna be like, hey, what about this? But in those environments, it's mainly male driven. And I would feel stupid raising my hand asking a question about it, right? So something came to me and was like, Maya, start Women Who Invest in Real Estate. You start your own group. And so I did just that. I followed my gut. I had met this young lady at a networking event. The same place that I have my event was where I met her. I had a couple other ladies in mind that I was like, I think we could all do this together. So we did it. We set a date. The date was February 2023. That was the first Women Who Invest in RE. And when I tell you, from that day to now, it is exploding. I have women that have not, like, just out the gate, didn't start investing, and now are like working on 10 flips from 0 to 10. So this is very powerful. Keep coming. Next time you come, bring your girls, bring any contractors, bring anybody in this space, because this is how you're going to grow here in Columbus with Chrissy. And it's going to be very fruitful, I'm telling you. Not to mention, I have my friends right here. We have Nita from Atlanta, Georgia. I met her. I met her at my event. She comes with me. Then I also have Natalie. Natalie's from Cleveland. This is how powerful this group can be. So I want you guys to build it with Chrissy, and let's grab these gems, because at the end of the day, we want to make some money, because I'm trying to make some money too.
Woo!
Thank you so much. And y'all probably see why I love my sister so much. So, so a little bit about me. My name's Christy Sanders. I'm with Equity Capital Mortgage. I started off, I was a sports agent for 8 years, right? And, similar to what Maya was saying, I was getting the runaround in my business. I was constantly bringing a lot of deals to the table. And at the end of the day, people doing all kinds of wild stuff. And it was just a very cost absorbent business. So at that point, I started to look to diversify. So at that point, I'm like, hey, how can I get involved in this? I started learning about real estate, started doing a couple random things where, honestly, I'm just being honest, I didn't know what I was doing. When it came down to deals, so I started investing and learning, and then I also, got my mortgage license, and so that's basically how I got here. So why I'm so passionate about women investing is, like I told Jesse, is that when you look at the amount of wealth gap between men and women, it's not just the pay gap, right? It's also because a lot of women leave the finances to men, right? They're like, oh, my husband got it. It's okay. Like, I don't have to do anything. Big Daddy got it. And then, and then at that point, something happens to Big Daddy, or Big Daddy gets tired of you, right? God forbid. You end up in a situation where you can't support yourself, right? So that's why we do this here. So I got Jessie Lane here. She's amazing, right? So, and then a couple of our sponsors that I announced, they actually walked in. Misty Lynn. Hey, what's up? And then Brian Zeno, he's been buying me drinks all night. So yeah, so so I got Jessie Lane here. She owns 72 doors. She came here as a transplant from Austin, and she's gonna show you how to basically build a real estate portfolio in 90 days and just keep repeating the process. Okay, so let's sit down, let's get it popping. Because again, like I want to get you guys back to drinking.
You can drink now too.
You can keep drinking. All right. So Jesse, thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I'm gonna pull out my phone. I do. So let's talk about just kind of like your journeys. How did you even get involved in real estate? You know, background. How did you get here?
So my story, how I ended up here on this stage today, is a bit of a roundabout way. I grew up in Austin, Texas, which if you've been to Austin or you know anything about Austin, it's changed a lot. But when I grew up there, it felt very, very similar to Columbus today. Honestly, the cities are very similar. So I grew up in Austin and I graduated college and they say you graduate college, you get a big girl job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you do all these things. And I definitely did not do all of this. Hardly anyone. But I bought a house with literally like my life savings. I bought a crappy little condo. It was $3,000 down from lender's point of view. Like they had no business giving me that loan. Like literally no business. It was my life savings. I had my first panic attack. Like it was like really traumatic, but I got there, right? I got there. I stuck through it. And then lived there for a couple of years and I knew I couldn't afford the mortgage on my house. Really, I'm telling you, I should not have gotten that loan.
Yeah.
And so I had a roommate and then I had my partner at the time who they were both paying rent. I just paid the utilities. So I was like, okay, like, this is pretty cool. But I had some Craigslist roommates in and out. There was some good, some bad, but overall I was like, yeah, this is pretty great. People pay the mortgage. And so my partner and I split. I knew that I did not want to live in the house, like emotionally. I knew that Austin, Texas, it would be insane to sell it.
Yeah.
And I knew I definitely could not like pay rent and a mortgage. So in the span of 2 weeks, I went from no one, like just living my normal life to having 4 college boys living in our rental.
Sheesh.
And I'm telling you, like, it was so fast. I was moved out, they moved in.
Oh. Thank God for generators. It's all right.
Misty?
Just keep drinking, guys. All right, are we all good to go? We so? We powered back up?
We got this though. We got that.
Let's just keep it going.
Can y'all hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Okay, so that's never happened before. So I got these college boys, made up a lease, made up the whole thing. And I moved out, lived with a friend for a couple months, and I was like, I knew that real estate was a place to move. So bought another house and I moved into it. And then I had roommates there. And I had one long-term rental and roommates in my current house, right? Year comes up, I can get another conventional loan. So I bought a third house, moved into that one, had 2 roommates there, Craigslist roommates, y'all. Like, I mean, this is before Facebook Marketplace. Like, it was like, you did not know what you were doing. It was crazy. And so by this point, it's like 2015. And I had roommates and 2 long-term rentals and all my mortgages were paid. I was making my big girl job salary, which was not very much. And I was making this rental income. So I was like, okay, well, this is cool. Like, I should probably take this serious. And so I didn't. Instead, I quit everything. I was like, I have 3 rentals. I can do whatever I want. So I went, I know, it was very naive. So I went to go travel the world for a year. And it was amazing, life-changing. I highly recommend, like, get out and travel, even if it's just for a week or 2, whatever. I met my wife. I was introduced to the company that brought me to Columbus. And after a year of traveling, we flew back to Texas, got my dog, got my car, drove to freaking Columbus, Ohio, which I couldn't even tell you on a map. Like, I'm from Texas, they don't teach you about anywhere else. So I couldn't tell you, and I moved here and drove in and was like, oh, this is great. Like, it's just like Austin.
Yeah.
It's basically just like Austin 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like felt so at home ever since. So that was like, that's the, how I decided, like, you know, I kind of like thought real estate was cool, but I didn't think it was a career.
Yeah.
No one in my life had ever shown that investing could be a career. That, you know, I think my parents were, they're fantastic people, but blue collar and no aspirations other than go to work, get paid, maybe your 3% raise every year, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I never had any role model that real estate could be a career until I moved to Columbus and I started going to networking events. And I was like, okay, these people are just like me. And they're doing a lot with their lives. It's like, you know, we have this image of like wealthy people and you know, that they're assholes and that this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Like, no, wait, you can be like wealthy and a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let me like take real estate seriously.
Yeah.
And started 2018. I quit the job that brought me here after just 18 months. All it did was give me diplomas, right? And then quit the job. I was wholesaling exclusively for 2 years because I was trying to save everything I could. I started buying conventional rental, like 20% down in 2019, really, 2020. And it wasn't until January 2021 that I got super clear about the BRRRR method. Who knows the BRRRR method? Okay, cool. So most people in here, if you don't know it, we'll get into it. But basically it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. I know,
My favorite.
So there's like, it's a circle. You do the same thing over and over and over. So the idea is that you can recycle your money, recycle your capital. And so once I fixed 10 years of trying all different things in real estate, it took me until 3 years ago to like figure out what method works for me. And we had just done that over and over and over and over and over. And now we have 70 to be
Wow.
the last 3 years.
That's a big thing. So if you had an attack, right, on $3,000 down, how did you get the nerve? Because I think that's a big thing for women, like, because I thought about real estate for a long time. Like, you know, I always kind of like joke, but me and Rick have been friends since I was 21 years old, right? We met the country club. And in Cleveland, we met the country club with people, and I was just following him around everywhere, trying to be everywhere he's at. And I'm like, oh man, it's my big bro. I love this guy. But I wanted to be involved in real estate so bad, but I didn't have the nerve. So how did you get the nerve, you know, in order to, you know, go from $3,000 down? You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like,
The first one was not getting the nerve.
Yeah.
It was somewhat traumatic life event, like pretty, you know, not a great breakup. And I knew, like, I was making $35,000 here. And so you can pay a rent and a mortgage? Absolutely not. With no one living in it, like, no. So I was like, well, shit, I have like literally no time to figure this out. And so that one was more just pure adrenaline. But like moving and getting everything done. So I think the nerve for the future was because of mentorship. Truly. Because
did you ever find it out of necessity, or did you ever just straight up like, now I know everything I'm going to do?
well, we'll never know everything. So I was buying with 20% down, like I said. And you can buy one a year, maybe, and that's if you have a great job and if you have, you know, good flips, like it's not sustainable. So I was like just painfully going, it was just so slow. And I was like, how do I do this faster? There has to be a way. How do people buy massive amounts of real estate? And so between research, between mentor, like, and another part of it was I was trying to do everything. Who in here is doing a little bit of everything? Like, okay, a little bit of everything. So I was so guilty of trying object. I was trying every method that came along. you know, the wholesaling one, it was fine, but I was at some Airbnbs. I got my real estate license. I was like looking at self-storage. I don't know what I was like. I was like literally all over the place. So part of that mentorship was not only the method, but the mindset to pick one thing. So like when you pick the thing that's fast, like it's scalable, you get your investment back, you go, and use the same money.
Yeah.
So it was like a no-brainer. And once I was like, okay, cut all the other drama out, all the other distractions, pick a freaking method, and it doesn't matter which one it is, but like pick one. If you're really, really good at it, and then that's gonna put you in a position to be able to go do what, like if you want to do Airbnb because you think it's fun, like then you can go do it. You know what I mean? But you got to build that foundation first. So that the mentorship was really like, because I knew I was doing it wrong.
Yeah, so that gave you confidence. It's not like, oh, I give up. Yep.
I know it's like, young me right now.
Okay, so like I have to stay on track, guys, because I'm not even gonna lie. I get a little nervous when it comes down to public speaking. So I do. So all right, so we talked about how you scale and stuff like that. So as far as like once you got the mentorship, were you done fears or like what were you doing?
No, I'm scared every day.
Are you-
I mean, in some way,
Explain that, because I think people need to know that, like, when you're talking about having 72 properties, people are thinking, like, I remember when I saw people where they had all these properties, I'm like, these people probably freaking print money. Like, how do you, like,
we don't.
it's not young, so I don't know. So
Yeah.
let's, how does that work? As far as managing your fear to keep growing.
Yeah. I know that the end outcome is so much more valuable than the day-to-day pain. I can see the benefit long-term, and I mean, you know, if there's something in your life, every single thing in your life, you're like, okay, just get through it, because the outcome will be fantastic. And so I know what real estate's capable of long-term, but you gotta get through it.
Yeah.
Systems, processes, people, technology, technology is like, we automate as much as we can. So yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things that I see just from the investor perspective that I would just kind of my 2 cents is like, as a lending perspective, I think that when you guys are investing, you kind of have to find the market. And I'm not just saying this because we're in Columbus, like we love Cleveland, we love all the other markets in Ohio, but you have to find, I think, low cash flow and appreciation. Because I think people get so caught up on like the acquisition cost. They're like, oh yeah, this is $70K. Like let's get it. And it's like, bro, but it's about to be $69,000 in 5 years. You know what I mean? because the market's so great. So like, how do you kind of like navigate that in a growing market that's like our price skyrocketing?
So that's a great question, and right now, Columbus is an appreciating market, period. Cash flow is slim. The way that we're hanging, I don't even want to say hanging on, but you know, I was buying 3 years ago, and we have DSCR or, you know, conventional loans at 4.5%. So those still cash flow. Anything we bought since COVID, they cash flow, but it is not sexy. Like, I mean, just basically, it is not sexy. Like, you are not living on the cash flow, even at scale.
So where are you making the money at? Because I think I'm like a kid, y'all. Like I'm gonna ask the real questions, y'all. Because like a lot of people are like, "Let's start our own question." I want to know the real question. So as an investor, where are you making the money? You making it on cash on refi? Or are you making it are you stretching it out, or are you making it on cash?
So we're gonna be I'm not holding anything back. The money is in equity. The money we make is in the form of equity. Like, will I get something on a cash out? Yeah, but I'm not living on it by any means.
Yeah.
We also do some flips every year. That is pure profit.
Okay.
So it's like once you build the system, like I'm here to build long-term wealth. So that is long-term buy and hold.
Got it.
But if you need some quick cash, you can wholesale a deal, you can sell a deal off, you can, you know, flip something. So you can pivot, but I think as long as you don't get away from your main strategy, which for me, I'm telling you, like, we can go over some of the benefits of long-term buy and hold, like, who's flipping? Flipping? Who's, like, do you have rentals also? Yeah. Okay. Anyone just flipping?
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all, you're getting hit with taxes. You are cashing out on today's prices. You're walking away from the growth in Columbus. You get paid one time. I get paid 100 times. Like, so I don't mind it. So delayed gratification.
Yeah.
I don't mind kind of not, I drive a Prius. Like, I am not a fancy person. I'm not trying to get out there and like live large, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now.
Pull up in the Lambo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And you know what? And another thing is like rates are high today.
Yeah.
What's your projection for the next couple of years?
They have no choice but to go down. So that, I mean, they have no choice but to go down. Now, I will say y'all need to realize that when rates were 2-3%, that was not realistic. That was artificial to basically manage the COVID mess.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? So they didn't want the economy to entirely crash out. But like, it's not going to be at 10-11% forever. So at that point, right now, we're in a very equity rich market. So like, it's amazing to me how back in 2020 and 2021, people are all on Twitter, because I feel like a lot of people, we're young, we get our information up online, and they're like, oh, I'm about to be the next millionaire. I'm about to buy in the recession. And now I'm like, rate is 8%. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Now is actually the time to buy, and that's not even like a sales pitch.
I was literally telling someone that today.
Yeah,
So you're gonna come out of the woodworks along with everyone else who's sitting on the sidelines, like, hello,
yeah,
competition.
yeah.
You're gonna net out at the same place. So the rates are high today, but you lock in the asset. You own and you control the asset. So when they go down, if they go down, it could be 10 years from now. I don't know. But I control the asset. And so I do with it what I want at that time.
Right.
If you don't buy, you control nothing.
Exactly. And every half of a percent that a rate goes down, it brings in 5 million people back into the market, right? That's what it does to the qualification, right? Not to super nerd out. So when you're thinking about it and you're in a market like Columbus where our economy is not bad, right? You know, so at that point, and we have a lot of relocation stuff and all that stuff because of the companies, people make a lot of money. So it's like, if you think that you're gonna go scoop up an investment property when rates go down, you're gonna be, you know, competing with Jim and Susan who are like, I work at Facebook, I got 100K over. Like, you know what I mean? And then that's not a deal.
And what we're seeing is like the DIY economy. And so even, who are they, Joe and Susan?
Joe.
Yeah, even Joe and Susan are looking for a fixer-upper because they watch TikTok and they think that they can because everyone can do it. But like, they're gonna renovate their kitchen on their own. So you are now, like, you're competing against buyers, like owner-occupied buyers.
Exactly.
Not only investors.
Exactly.
So I'm literally on a phone call on the way here. They're like, well, what happens if the economy crashes? I'm like, I don't know, buy more. Yeah. I'm like, can it crash a little bit?
So let's talk about the word method, because I think that's the most important thing. So you were buying conventional, right? I think this microphone doesn't work, but I'm loud and y'all know it. I feel like everybody in here knows me. So at that point, like, I'm super loud, so I'll just take this away. So, like, tell me about how you started learning about the private money piece and the hard money piece, and how you got the confidence to leverage that, and how you actually, make sure you don't over leverage yourself and be scared of that.
So private money is basically working with an individual, so someone in your personal network, friends, family, whatever. It's fantastic, super powerful. I would honestly go as far as say is an advanced strategy, because for the most part, like your rich Aunt Susan or whatever, she's not checking anything about the deal. She just knows that like she loves you and just like going to give you some money, right? Like, I mean, honestly. And so I would suggest for any new investors to start with hard money. They have systems, they have processes, they have checks and balances. They're doing an appraisal. They're checking that your ARV is correct. They're checking your repair scope. They're checking all these things. So hard money is actually a really good entry level into your first cash deal.
Got you.
Yeah.
So when do you think people should start with private money, if ever?
No, I mean, you can, but it's just, you need to know your numbers really well.
Mhm.
If you know your numbers, if you're confident in the deal, you're not gonna be more than 75% all in, which what that means, like, if it's worth 200, you wanna be all in at 150. That could be 140 purchase, 10K reno, or it could be 10K purchase, 140 reno. That one's obviously a lot riskier.
Right.
And so, however you get to that 150, you just need to be all in at 75% of what it's worth.
Got you.
So if you can make that happen, then use private money all day,
Mhm.
all day. But if you're not confident in that, hard money is a great like checks and balances systems process.
Mhm. So how do you feel about as far as the terms? How do you navigate the terms of private money versus the hard money?
So that's a great question. We actually pay our private money lenders 12%.
Okay.
I pay my hard money lenders 12%. I want repeat, happy lenders who are throwing money at me because they're not making 12% anywhere else.
Got you. And not only the 12%, but how do you dictate, like, or do you pay them once a month interest only, or do you defer it to the end and do like a?
So I always try to defer it. Hard money, if you do know what it's due in the end? No.
What do you say? No.
For hard money lenders, typically you're gonna have monthly payments, and that's money out of your lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
But if you can negotiate with a private money lender to have the interest paid as a lump sum at the time of refi or at the time of sale, then that you don't need those holding costs like in your bank. So I'm always with private money trying to push it as a lump sum, but we have some lenders, I literally pay his mortgage every month. He needs me and I need him,
Yeah.
right? So to him, it's important to get paid monthly and I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah. We move really fast.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, how do you dictate your deal time? As far as like, when you're in and out of something, like as far as the term, like going like straight to 12 months with the private money lender, 3 months, 6 months, how do you do it?
So we'll write usually 12 months with no prepayment penalties.
Okay.
So I'll write 12, same with hard money as well. And we're assuming it's vacant on day one. If it's not vacant on day one, you may have some notice to the residents or potentially worst case an eviction if they don't leave. And so we're assuming that doesn't happen. We're, your reno budget, we're at about $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
So it's a $45,000 budget, takes 45 days. So I literally just like plan out from there. Like, okay, so 50K, I'm gonna round up to 60 because so happens. So 2 months of reno, a month of leasing. I'm not renting to the first person that comes along. Period.
Really? Why? Like, give us the background on that.
Oh my God. Who's that bad renter? Yeah, everyone. Yes. Yeah. So I want the best candidate and not the first candidate. And so I see so many people fall for the trap of like, I gotta get this rented, I gotta get it rented. I'm like, okay, well, what's your holding cost per day?
Yeah.
$50?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't wanna like sit on it forever. You wanna be actively looking, but like that person, say it takes you a week longer to wait for a better applicant. It's cost you $350. Or that person destroys your house, right? So I'm not looking for the first, I'm looking for the best resident. So we really underwrite with a full 30 days from a new renovation. Now, if this is just a normal turnover, it wasn't our big renovation, we have professional photos. So we can do what we call pre-leasing.
Okay.
So I'll have the photos and I'll have it teed up to a 3-day turnover.
Okay.
But you don't have photos of a house that isn't done, right? So 30 days for renting, another 30 days for refi. I'm in and out 4 months.
Okay. Wow. There we go, guys.
Yeah.
There we go.
Woo!
That's impressive. So, like, so when you were back in the first days of Jesse, how were you raising the money? Like, were you sending out lists? Like, what were you doing?
So I heard you telling this story earlier to someone and I didn't get to chime in, but I'm gonna do it now. So one of my favorite sources of private money is from a seller that I'm negotiating something off market.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, what are you doing with that 200K that you're about to get into your pocket?
Yep.
And they say, well, what do you mean? And I say, how would you like to, this one, how would you like to make 8%? Like, yeah, it worked. Yeah. And so, he has been lending me money at 8% for the last 2.5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do y'all know what she just said? Do I need to break that down? So that right there is called seller financing, okay? And so what we talk about, I was talking about to them was that what we do as lenders is that we're one of the rare lenders that allow seller carryback. So seller carryback means that you got to bring just say 25% down, right? But you don't have it. So what she's doing is she's saying, hey, you're already getting these proceeds from the seller. So at that point, like, hey, give me back, just say up to whatever is less of 10%. You got to be 90 LTV, right? So basically, give me 10%, 15%, whatever. And then at that point, the seller is going to carry a private mortgage until she refinances or sells it. So if you're a new investor, what that allows you to do is not have to go run around and say, hi, I got this portfolio, can you help me? Whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, it allows you to kind of get across the finish line with only 10% down. Or, and with us, we only got a 24-hour seasoning period with phones. So, you can get it from your mom. Oh, my bad. So yeah, you guys got any questions about that so far?
And that one was a seller carryback. He put a second position.
Exactly.
And leverage with hard money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people, so if you guys are looking to low down payment, that's what that is for. Makes sense? So let's start talking about the BRRRR method, what you do, all that stuff, and then we're gonna open it up for questions so that you guys can really get some numbers.
So the two major benefits of the BRRRR method is potentially low or no money left in the deal. So if you can do the perfect BRRRR, you're all in for 75% of the new appraised value. After your holding costs, in competitive market, it is hard to do. It is hard to do. That's not a question. So low. So low or no money left in the deal. So you get your capital back at refi, you go out and buy again. In addition to that, you are left with an asset that is, low or no maintenance because you've renovated the major mechanicals, you have renovated cosmetics. Are people going to do crazy stuff? Yes, of course they are. But for the most part, like your big ticket items are all covered during your renovation.
Yep.
And so you're left with we aim for 10 years. So if something's like really going to go out in the next 10 years, we'll just do it as part of the renovation.
Yep.
Don't have to think about it. So you recycle your capital, plus you're left with a low maintenance asset.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you guys get multiple tax benefits from it, right? So like when you're doing the flipping, again, like you said, it's heavy taxes. When you do the buy and hold, number one, the cash out refinance is actually tax free. Because you can't tax a loan, right? Like you can't tax your current mortgage. So just say you go pull $60,000 out of a property, that's
Where's some? I'll be there. Yeah.
But like you just say go pull 60K out of a property, whatever it is, and the tenants paying the mortgage, and then on top of that, it's tax free. Also, you can write off the interest rate, right? You can write off the renovations. You can write off the travel to and from the property. So for the Cleveland, Atlanta people, y'all want to invest in Columbus, of course. So at that point, you write off the transportation to and from the property. There's so many things when it comes down to the buy and hold. And like you said, you're growing with the market. Like, for example, did you see Silicon Heartland? Are you familiar with that?
Okay.
No, Silicon, it's like a little publication. It's like this little publication, and basically they just run around and throw data.
Okay.
So, and what they were talking about was the growth in Columbus over the next 6 years is going to be literally over 100%.
Wow.
So when we talk about, those type of home values, I mean, how many people would have loved to buy a German Village or whatever, 15, 20 years ago? And you're from Austin, where Can you buy in Austin now?
Oh, hell no. I was priced out like by my third house. I was like, these don't make any sense.
Right. So, and like I was telling people, you know, like we got some Delaware people in here, but like the city's growing northeast, right? So we want to be as far as like, this area here is basically tech, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, everybody's done it, but like, there's still opportunity northwest, like Ashley, Ohio, really good spot.
I just saw a deal in Bexley. I just saw a Bexley house came up, off market, 22 offers. And it went like 35, 40K over asking. And then this is off market, y'all. This is not like flood, this is not, Joe and Susan. These are like hungry investors willing to pay that because of the long-term gain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, number one, thank you, Jesse. But let's open it up for questions because I don't like to hold the floor for a really long time. You guys got any questions for Jesse? How she built her portfolio? Like, what we think? Questions? No, y'all don't have questions. Did we cover everything?
Come up with a question.
How long did it take you to get like your first 10 doors and like, what were the steps?
Great question. So the first 11 actually, so really like good number is, I say they were my early mistakes because the first 11 I bought with conventional 20% down. So that one took, I mean, that was like years. Honestly, I still had the 3 in Austin and then I bought a 4 unit. So that's 7. And then, I bought 4 houses at the same time, which to this day is hands down the best deal I ever bought. So between those together, like 2 years, two-ish years.
So 2 years.
Yeah, and I mean, I was moving, but I was full-time at this point. I wanted to be doing more. So it felt slow, which I should give myself grace because in hindsight, I'm like still pretty fast.
So for the hard money, where were you getting the 10% or 5% that you needed?
I have been wholesaling for years.
Wholesale, that's where you were getting the money. So like, do you think kind of as a new investor, it sounds like to me, you kind of, as a new investor, you want to keep doing whatever you're currently doing. Keep buying, but also kind of have a little offshoots on where you can make some money, but in the same
Yeah.
channel.
So we always say that you should have some stream of active and some stream of passive income. So even if your active income is like bonus points, if it's in real estate, like, I was wholesaling, that was incredibly active.
Mhm.
I have like a, education program now, incredibly active. Like I'm not living off my rentals. All that money's going back into real estate. So we have active and passive at all times. If you're active as a W-2, more power to you. If it's in real estate, bonus points to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But don't think you're living on your rentals like tomorrow
No,
or in 5 years.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't even expect to live off of cash out refinances either. Because I see that's where people get in trouble. And they get a little over leveraged. Any questions back here? Thoughts, concerns? No?
What if, somebody doesn't have 20% down, like, how would someone go about getting started, like, what would you suggest to them?
And also, let's do like a wild scenario because I think this is important because like, what is the proper way to do it when people literally are like, they got a 416 credit score. Let's get wild. 416 credit score, right?
And we connecting with someone.
What else? They got 34 cents in their account. What do they do? How do they get involved in real estate? Is it just straight up wholesaling? Or is that the time?
Yeah, I would start with something incredibly time consuming versus income, versus needing money. So when I started, I didn't have any money. I was driving for dollars, which literally is like the cost of gas, and then you got to skip trades. If you have 34 cents, I mean, even if you have $1,000, like wholesaling is, I would say, a great way to start.
Yep.
If you're really confident, you have the right help, the right mentors, and everything, you could raise private money for the gap. You allow it, so I can say that. A lot of lenders don't allow a second position, yeah. So you can raise that down payment as a second position loan through private money or other investors through your network.
Yeah.
So in theory, you don't need any money.
Would you partner with somebody? Because the thing is that with real estate, stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
And so even if you raise that money to get the deal across the finish line, just say you gotta, spend $2,500, like, what do you suggest for that person? Should they just wait until they have like tax?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, if you have $2,500, I would not be buying rentals yet. I would be doing something active, active for sure. I mean, split it, if you can avoid taking title, that's going to just simplify everything.
Yeah.
So if you could just wholesale it until you get up to 25, 30K, because you're gonna need reserves, y'all. I'm saying real estate's incredibly powerful, but don't be stupid.
No, and I think it's important.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's important because the internet tells us, right? Buy real estate with no money down, and
That should be illegal.
I agree.
It should be illegal. It is irresponsible to tell someone
It's
that.
very irresponsible, but you see it happen every day, right? So even if they got the credit, they're like, hey, I got this 34 cents in the drain, what do I do? So you think 25 to 30,000 is
I mean, that's-
the proper number?
Yeah, I think you can get away with less, but really that's in Columbus and kind of we call Columbus an hour radius. So in Central Ohio, that's really the bare minimum that you're gonna not be silly. So, yeah. And again, it does not have to be your money, but you need to know someone either through a JV partnership or raising private money that is able to kind of support if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Things go wrong. Absolutely.
I agree. And as a lender, full disclosure, we look for cash reserves.
Yeah.
Because shit does go wrong, right? So you cannot get into a deal because we do hard money, we do commercial, we do all of that, and we still want to see, some reserves.
Yeah.
So I think anybody who's telling you that, hey, we don't care, come do it, they're lying to you, let's not do it.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah. So y'all got any other questions so far?
Can you talk a little bit about purchasing land? Is it worth it? And if so, what should you be considering?
It's me. I've never purchased land. No, I am telling you, once I got clear on Burr, I've done the same exact deal over and over and over 72 times. We have some small apartments and I would keep doing those, but it is a single family home from a 2-1 up to a 3-2, no bigger than 1,600 square feet. I just buy the same deal over and over. I haven't dabbled in land.
So I can speak to that. So I have flipped land, right? And what you have to kind of keep in mind is the whole cost of land, right? You know what I mean? So if you want to get your investment back, you want to make sure that you are prepared to be out of whatever money that you just spent for at least, I would say, 2 to 4 months, right? So you're not going to be an easy thing. Sometimes it might be less. And then you also want to kind of look at where the activity is, right? And what the investors are buying. And then also I think that Chinita's over here, you also want to start looking at tax deeds, because I think one of my biggest mistakes that I made when I started buying land and flipping it was I was buying it too high, right? So I was buying it at top of the market thinking that, I was going to do whatever. And then at the end of the day, I bought it at the top of the market. So the pieces that I bought at the right price, I'm able to flip in 90 days. If I buy it at the wrong price, then I'm sitting for 4, 6, sometimes 8 months. So you gotta just be cognizant of that. And then also you can get creative with that too when it comes down to selling financing. But again, I would say for the land, if it's in an obscure area, plan on 6 to 8 months. If it's in a active area, plan on 3 to 4 months.
Who was doing tax deeds?
Right?
Can I go off of that?
Please.
So on the land, depending on what you do, so if you buy land, and depending on the county, you gotta check with the auditor, but a lot of investors, what they do is they go and buy land and they'll buy it at 10 acres, right? Right? If you go to split, you gotta go off the parent parcel, you gotta do a pin survey, and there's requirements, and that's where the money's made, a lot of them with investors. So what they do is they'll go in and buy 10 acres and they'll want to split it up into different parcels, sell it off to make their money. Okay? There's requirements depending on the county and the township. So like Franklin County, Delaware County, they're gonna have, requirements on you have to have at least 2 acres, or 3 acres, or 5 acres, for Delaware County 5. So a lot of investors are gonna wanna go in and split, but you better know that before you go buying the parent parcel. The parent is the whole parcel, okay? Before you split it up and spend money on surveys and everything, because that's where you're gonna take losses. Because if they have a requirement on how much you can split, that's where you make your money. Most investors.
That's true. Yeah, and then also utilities, right? So you wanna look at like how close is it to a major city, right? You wanna look at if there's utility access, right? Septic access, is the septic on it or does it need to be installed? Like there's like little things that you need to, so I would say like to even get it inspected, you need to plan on at least having $400 or $500, right? Just to make sure that it's even worth buying. So, and that's just my personal experience with it. So, thanks, right? Greg, what's your question?
So, when it comes down to, you have formula that you put against yourself or buying something, like if you buy a property for $160,000, you will only allow yourself to put X amount of dollars in renovation to it, regardless of what the increase in sale price could be. And also, where are you coming up with your final, like, I'm gonna renovate, I'm gonna put, $100,000 into it. And I believe it's gonna be worth this once I put it in. Where are you also grabbing that number from, your belief of what it's worth? Are you just going around and checking what's been sold in the past 6 months and doing the normal
Yeah.
real estate comp deal?
So
Or
the-
you've got like a more fine-tuned way of digging into that?
So the question is, how do we figure out what it's worth afterwards, and then how do we determine how much money we would put into a deal?
Yep.
Yeah. So afterwards is ARV, after repair value, comparable sales, all day long. Like if someone paid $100,000 for a property that looks like what you want to make your property, one may not be safe to say. 3, 4, 5 in that same range, it's pretty safe to say what that property's worth. So I know you hate real estate agents, but they're gonna be your best friend. I'm starting calling out like that. They're gonna be your best friend. I mean, we run our own comps, but if there ever was something that I was like really unsure or there was like something tricky about it, I would reach out to my agent. And so then how do we determine what we put into it? So my goal is always to be maximum 75% all-in value. If I'm running my numbers and like, I need to be at 200, purchase price, they're asking 140 and I need to put 30 into it. It's like, you're at 170. It's like, I could leave 20K in the deal, which is like, do I go on good?
Please.
Yeah, okay, please. So at the time of refi, which if we look at a little circle, it's like, yeah. So it's the step before repeat, right? So at this point, you have renovated the property, you have a market rate tenant in place, and then you're taking this nice little package that you just made, and you're taking it to a bank, exactly like Chrissy, right?
Yep.
So we're looking for DSCR loans. I maxed out my conventional loans a long time ago. And so even my wife, she's like, do I have to do this? I'm like, yes, you do. So we're on DSCR and the bank is going to get the property appraised. So say it appraises for 200, they're only lending, where you guys 80%. Let's use 75 for math, but the higher their loan to value, the more money you can pull out. So if they will only give me 75%, that's 150K. Well, I know I'm in it for 170. So that's fine. I have 170,000 into it. She'll give me 150. I don't get all my money back. So that's what we call money in the deal. So I left money in, and if you have 20K to leave in a deal, I mean, we leave money in deals all the time. I don't mind it because the appreciation. Like, in 3 years, I'm gonna go cash that baby out and take the money I should have took today. And so, is that what you're asking?
No, I actually. I was gonna ask you-
He was honest.
Yes, that's the question I was asking,
Okay.
but I was gonna ask you another question, because
Okay.
do you also have a set, how much you allow yourself to do. You also have like kids 7 years. I won't go past the 7-year ROI. So I won't go more than 10-year ROI. You have like a figure that you're saying.
So when yes, we call that our buy box. I do. It has changed along with the market. When I first started buying, the answer was I would not buy a deal if it didn't have cash out. If I couldn't, so that same situation, instead of being in for 170, say I'm in it for 130. I bought it for 100, I put 30 into it, I'm in it for 130. The DSCR lender will give me 150, so I pull out 20K, so that's cash out. So I used to underwrite where if I didn't get cash out, I wouldn't buy the deal. Okay, and then it was like, okay, I will leave money in the deal, but I'm looking for a 2-year payback period. So I operate more on like how long it takes to get my money back. So if it's bringing in $300 a month in rent, which is not true anymore, but it used to be. If it's bringing $300 in rent and I have $10,000 in, I don't know, whatever the math is. Like that's how long it takes it's some amount of months to get my money back. And I used to underwrite 24 months. I mean, now if I'm leaving 20K in the deal, I'm happy. In Columbus, we're looking at different markets that have different numbers. We're looking at Dayton. Anyone in here investigating?
I keep trying to tell y'all, it's bomb.
Yes, Dayton? No? Yes, Dayton? Okay, we're gonna talk, because we're moving to somewhere that the numbers are Columbus 5 years ago.
Good. Ricky?
So just on, somebody was asking about the land idea, certain cities have land banks that they have free parcels that you can grab, because they want to generate obviously the tax revenue on it. We just did a pretty large acquisition in the city of Cleveland. It wasn't free per se, but we were able to get the parcels in exchange for us, showing them, like an actual idea from architect from, like, entire development project. So, certain cities have land bank. That would be my suggestion to try to do the land bank, because a lot of times you get free, and or like just super discounted. Because they're just looking for somebody that's going to take it and essentially pay the tax revenue, but also if you're doing larger development deals, you can also do the tax, entitlement to whatever, so you have to pay the tax down for certain periods of time, but if you don't write anything on it, yes, it's just the land banks. You can propose.
Shanita? Do you go by Nita or Chanita?
Neither.
Nita, all right.
I have 2 questions. So Jesse, I want to know where you doing in the JV deals here in Columbus with people that want to get started, and then Chrissy, I want to just break down the concept of the DSCR.
Okay.
I personally have not done a lot of JVs. I know it's a really powerful tool if, there's like find it, fund it, flip it, and there's like 4, whatever it is. And the idea of the JV is like you take 2 and you take 2. So if you have an agent who could find the deal, and then you can fund it and fix it, and then flip it, which is a sale. So if you can divide those 4, that's like kind of a good JV model. I have not ever, I was wholesaling and we were making pretty good money. So I've never needed to bring in, I raised private money, but in the beginning I could fund my own down payment. And so I have not ever done a JV.
So DSCR loans, my favorite thing to talk about. So DSCR loans, it means debt service coverage ratio, okay? So simply put, that means that if your mortgage is 1,000, your rent has to at least be 1,000 from the tenant. So it does not have to be a tenant in the property. It can actually be the market rent. So typically when we do an appraisal, depending on the direction that you're going, whether it's Airbnb, there'll be either a daily rent rate or a market rent rate. So basically that is the qualifying income. You don't have to provide your tax returns. You don't have to have your W-2. And it's an unlimited amount. We can go up to $100 million non-recourse on DSCR. So you can scale it all the way up to commercial if you like. But when it comes down to it, it's a great tool for investors that if you're like, hey, I'm tapped out on conventional, you don't want to be over there with Fannie and Freddie where they're like, oh, where were you in 1995? Like, you have the receipt for that dinner. Like, nobody has it, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, it allows you to scale, it's unlimited. And then, so typically with DSCR, you're gonna be looking at 20 to 25% down, depending on the property type. Airbnb is a little bit more risky, so they require 25% down. But again, you can do seller financing, right? So you can go seller financing up to 90%. So that means that you can basically do a seller carryback. So then you only bring 10% of your capital to the table, right? So we allow that, and then you for coming out of it, if you want to refinance, there's no seasoning period. So most lenders, like if you go Fannie and Freddie, basically they came out last year and they were like, oh, you know, we hate investors. Let's put 12 months seasoning on it so they can't ever get their money. And it's like, okay, that doesn't work, right? So with DSCR, there's no seasoning period. So that means if you close with private or hard money or your own capital, you can pull up to 80% of the appraised value, not the purchase price, immediately out the next day, right? So at that point, like that's how DSCR works.
What's the terms?
Terms are gonna be anywhere between 7.75% to, I would say, 11.99, and that really depends on the credit score, the property type, what's going on with it, your experience level as an investor. So I know that sounds like a really wild swing, but it's a real thing, right? Because like if you come in and again you're wild credit, because we go as low as I believe 620, right?
We got no credit score option.
Yeah, we got a no credit score option, so that means that if, you know, you're coming in, and you're at that 416 I talked about, then, you know, your rate's gonna look a little different than somebody that's a 789, right? Like, you know, and also cash reserves, LTV, all of that plays a role, so that's why you got that wild swing. Typically, you're looking at a 30-year interest rate. Yeah, 30-year fixed rate.
So I have a question in regards to your company with the loans. Say someone already has property experience, and they just need money to do renovations on the property. Would your company actually just fund the renovation part of it, or does it have to be tied to the deed?
Yeah, so if it's not finished, then we do offer a bridge loan option, right? So like I've done plenty of those where somebody's like in the middle of a renovation, or they're like, hey, I got this house, it's on free and clear, it's trash, but it'll be worth this amount. So yeah, you can do a bridge loan, which is basically a reverse rehab loan, right? So at that point, you get the rehab funds to renovate the property, it's a draw schedule, and at that point, you know, you can utilize that. There's no down payment that comes with that. So yeah, we could definitely talk about that. You can do that if the property is complete, but you just want to make some cosmetic renovations, then, you know, we can just look at a simple cash out refinance. The bridge loan, you're gonna be looking at a 12-month interest only period. So at that point, you will have to refi out of that.
All right.
Yep.
I have some thoughts.
Please
How
have-
many are free put?
I don't know what
Is your goal to renovate all of them?
No.
You just want to renovate one,
No, two.
two, okay,
Like the people had trash.
yeah. Oh, they,
I mean, they
Yeah.
just trash. I gutted them.
So you just want to do like some cosmetic stuff?
I would DSCR loan one.
Yeah, I would do
Take that money because at that point, no one in DSCR, they're not checking where the money goes. It literally goes to your bank account. You can go buy a car. Like, you literally go, right?
I've seen.
So I would are you trying to grow outside of this? Like outside of the five, you want to keep buying? I would take all the money you can out of one to fix as many of the other ones as you can, and then max those out, and then go buy.
Now, when you say take all the money out of one, are you talking about like
As much as
whichever
Chrissy
one
will
the
give
best
you.
one? Okay.
As much as this woman will give you, I would pull out.
So that would be like the best house that you could get the most out of.
I mean, so you don't want to over renovate though. Like if you're in a neighborhood where it doesn't justify
Right.
shower,
That makes sense.
you know, like do what everyone else is doing.
You know.
Get that ARV, get that appraised value. Take the most money your lender will give you. Go do it to all your other properties. Take the most money they'll give you again, and then go buy a shit ton of real estate.
Got it.
Hit me up after.
Yeah.
I got you.
Natalie, you all free and clear, you can be doing some stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can scale it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
literally,
blankets too where you can wrap all the blankets. Yeah. Natalie?
Question about private money versus funds. Like, don't one of them like doing a fund? Don't you have to like do it with what do they call investors that are
Like your credit head?
yeah.
Yeah.
So a fund that's credit investors only, and private you can do it with anybody as long as y'all put a contract together.
Yep. So our private lenders are secured by a mortgage recorded with the county and then also a promissory note. That one's not recorded. And so I've never done anything with fund. I can raise money from people and they're secured and it's like, I mean, it's a relationship. It really is just a relationship. So they don't have to be accredited in anything. I mean, there's no checks on what they can invest. They could spend their whole life savings to invest with you. That's bold, but they could, no one's checking.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it really is, it's a little Wild West. As long as you have those two, like, legal documents, then outside of that, you can negotiate whatever you want. Ricky, you have a question? Sorry.
I was just gonna elaborate on the curriculum as well. So we have a project in the city of Toledo, it's actually a skyscraper. I guess we're gonna kind of elaborate on 2 points. Where a friend of mine locked it up with an LOI, didn't have the capital just yet because he can raise it, to her point, you can raise the capital after you have it. But the opportunity in the commercial space, he's getting it for like 3 to 5 cents on the dollar. Like when this thing is done, it's gonna be worth $90 million. So don't be afraid to think big. You know, you're not just limited to, doing, I mean, the sky's really the limit, you know what I'm saying? And my buddy Steve, Chrissy knows Steve, like, God bless him, like, drunk after time on the bunker. So it's not like, don't overthink that, don't think that you have to know PhD level. If you find a good deal, there's a lot of times you can raise the capital, and then you can get in the short-term financing, large commercial. That's a perfect example where we're probably gonna get it between 7 and 8 million. And when it's all said and done, stabilizing 12 to 18 months, and, it's gonna have a cash out. So there's a lot of that happening in the commercial space. So that's why I think that's what Chrissy was saying, because don't think you just have to do it on something small. Let's say that you own 10 properties, and you can take off half of the equity out of the properties, and you could raise the capital for something that big. So don't think small, there's opportunities everywhere right now.
No, but yeah, Monique, I got it.
So can you speak to, having properties, if it is better to have the properties in your name versus having it in an LLC? And if you do decide to go the LLC route, does it make sense to do it even if you only have like 2 doors, or should you wait till you have more doors?
LLC from day one. Day one. LLC from day one.
Yeah,
For me, always.
Right.
yeah. And with the DSCR loans, typically we close in the LLC. Yeah.
So what if you didn't start with the LLC, you already have a property, like what would that process look like?
You already own it.
So I already have property,
You
I
can-
already have an LLC, but I didn't put my property.
You just quit claim it. It's literally you go down to the courthouse and like sign a document. I think it's like $25, something crazy.
Yeah.
You just quit claim it into your LLC. But you're going to get
Ryan
loan
behind.
types.
So an LLC is limited liability corporation. So when you form an LLC, you file your article of organization with our Secretary of State. An LLC, an owner is a member, right? So it gives you limited liability. That's what you want. So that way, if you end up getting sued for any reason, really, you shut down the LLC, set up a new LLC, and you're good, right? So that's what she's saying, is that's probably your best bet, is to file it with an LLC. And you can call any attorney, ask for whoever, and they'll follow your operating agreement, shows any kind of upfront capital contributions to LLC, shows your voting rights, whatever. Or whoever can set that up for you, but that's the best bet, is so that they limit your liability.
Right.
So So
There's
you
no
never do
rule.
your taxes, you can file it all under one, depending on your limits liability, right, with your insurance company. So that's when you're protection under the LLC. It's a good question.
And this is in the weeds, like I would be happy to talk to you, but basically for every LLC, you have to file taxes, like it's a whole thing. So, we package many more than one under one LLC. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. So,
We'll connect.
do we have any more questions before I wrap this up?
This the last. So can I change my house that's and I got FHA loan, can I quit claim that or they gonna call it no?
Definitely not. Don't. Orange is a cute color, but you don't want to wear it. Don't do
You're
it.
not going to prison. Get out.
No, you couldn't. Like you could.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Along with it, but you said that you can get up to how much, on your rooms?
80% of the appraised value.
Is that only like in the state of Ohio or that?
No, nationwide. Let's do it. Give me a call. I'm ready. Well, guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate Jessie. Before we go, I want to give Jessie the opportunity to talk about her mentorship that she offers, because obviously she's a wealth of knowledge. And then after that, I'm gonna wrap it up. What's going on, Jessie?
Yeah, hey. So you guys have a little handout, kind of talks about things we've talked about today, but then also two QR codes. So first is a free Facebook group that I have run for a couple years now, and I go live every single Tuesday at 2:00. We do free trainings, we do free we just did this opposite of you. We just did this crazy leverage calculator. Did you watch it?
I did.
Yeah, we do all sorts of free trainings. There's no obligation whatsoever. We also do a 90-day challenge to buy your first rental, where it's weekly theme. I take you through sourcing deals, sourcing money, building your team, week by week, hold your hand all the way through it. And then we also have a kind of higher level mastermind that is a 6-month program, and it's designed to build your business up to the point where you're buying 1 to 3 rental properties per month. And so either of those, if you're interested in either of those, it would be the second QR code. So book a call. You would talk to Lizzie here, who is the best.
She is.
Lizzie's the best. And, she would point you in the right direction. So, obviously, like we've talked about, I am not going to sugarcoat. You do need some money to buy real estate. So if you think your credit's decent, what's your minimum? Your minimum,
640.
Yeah. So if you're 640 above, have 25 to 30K, and you are serious about buying real estate, we would love to talk to you. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate it again. My name's Chrissy.
You guys do a picture.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're gonna do a picture. Jesse's teaching me how to get my life together socially. Maya, you want to say something?
Yeah, so real quick, guys, Chrissy, next month, same place,
Oh, yes.
what day?
Oh, here.
June 26th, right?
June 26th, last Wednesday of the month, going forward. It's always gonna be here. Thank you to Misty Lynn. So Misty, she left, but she's gonna be the speaker next month. She's gonna be straight up talking about raising private money. That's what she does all day, every day, is raise private money, and she's gonna talk to y'all about it. So that is it.
And when you come back next month, I want you to bring 2 to 3 people with you, and then join our Facebook group. And then I'm gonna challenge everyone in here to walk up to 2 to 3 people in here that you don't know and exchange numbers.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for being here.